All right, guys, welcome back to Relegation Battle. Before we go into the last week's action, we'll just go for the FA Cup draw quickly. It just happened. So, notably, Spurs are going away to non-league Marine, United are home to Watford, Arsenal are home to Newcastle, Liverpool have to go away to Villa again, Leeds away at Crawley, and Chelsea are home to Morecambe, City are home to Birmingham. I'm trying to find Palace, but I don't think anyone. Oh, okay, Palace are away to Wolves as well. So they've got plenty to tie there. And Chorley, I don't know if you guys saw who sang a deal after they won their game home to Derby County. So, I mean, that's going to take place in January as well, so we've got time before that. But let's go into the weekend's action then. Jack, we'll start off with you. It was an interesting game. I mean, I didn't watch the highlights, so that was fun for me. But the main man for you guys this week was Cavani. I mean, what did you do the whole game? Cavani especially. Yeah.
Well, whenever we play Southampton, it always ends with a draw. We always concede first. But this time, when we started, I thought we were actually quite good. We contained their press quite well. We pressed quite high, to be fair. We were just missing clear-cut chances. Greenwood, we expect to score, missed kind of open goal. It was kind of a tight angle, but you bet your house on him scoring that. And then what we always concede at Southampton, we concede a set piece and then they score from it. It was it was quite shocking defending. I mean, we always consist with his zonal marking, and Harry Maguire, who's our best header, is always spare. He's not marking either Bednarek or Vestergaard, and it turns out Bednarek scores. And then it was a silly free kick to give away just outside the box when you know Ward-Prowse's ability. Nothing De Gea can do about either of the goals, I don't think. But then second half, we had to score early, and luckily we did. And like you said, Cavani was instrumental in that. 2 goals and an assist. So involvement in all 3 goals in the second half. He was brilliant. His movement was a joy to watch. And yeah, it was an entertaining game, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, when Cavani signed for you guys, it just seemed like that last minute panic buy because I think it was after a defeat or a draw that you guys it was a Spurs game, wasn't it, before deadline day, and then Cavani got done. It had like the same effect as the Falcao deal, almost like that, a bit like the Gardo as well. But like I said, it was a movement yesterday that made the difference. Like, I remember his first goal, there was about 10 players around him, like a couple United, a couple Southampton players, but then he was the only one on the move. So that type of intelligence is hard to like create in a player. So how vital do you think he will be throughout the season for you?
Yeah, like you said first, he clearly was like a panic buy because he was a free agent since July, and we don't buy him until deadline day. You know, if you really wanted him, you would have got him straight away. So it was clearly a panic buy, but you know the quality he's had. He's scored loads and loads of goals. Yeah, like you said, we don't really have a striker that stays in like what they call inside the post, like right in a penalty area, right in like the 6-yard box. So it's good that his movement's excellent. So I hear like Harry Maguire saying he's the best he's ever played with. So Greenwood, Martial can learn a lot from him, and Rashford.
Also, a good week in the Champions League for you guys. Bruno getting some fantastic goals in as well. You guys were in a tough spot when the group stage got made, obviously, with PSG and Leipzig. In a very good position now. How far do you think guys can go?
It's tough, you know, because we do 2 brilliant performances against PSG and Leipzig, and then we lose against a team that we're supposed to beat. You know,
Yeah.
It was, and that game was just. I know we beat them 4-1 in a return leg, but that first game was just awful. So this season we've just been very consistent. So for me, it's really hard to say how far we can go. I mean, the draw kind of favours us, but it seems like when we play those smaller teams or supposedly smaller teams, it's harder for us. We're more up for it. So for the bigger team, so maybe a better team could do us good, but obviously you want the best chance of winning. So we have to see where it goes, how far we can go.
Yeah. And then, George, I come to you now. Well, first of all, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, that's all right.
let's talk about Palace this season so far. So you guys got off to a good start, win at Southampton and a big win at United. Then more recently as well, you got a good win against Leeds. But the last 2 games, you got back-to-back defeats. So how do you look at your season so far?
Do you know what? I was speaking to Tom, right, and I said, depending on our next 5 games, come back to me and I'll tell you where we finish in the table. And I think I was looking at it and I was thinking maybe we can finish top 10. But now I'm thinking no chance because first of all, Zaha's gone. Well, he's missing. He's got COVID, so he's not back for 2 weeks. And actually, I think he's back for the West Brom game. He was gone for 2 weeks. Sorry. Without him, we look lost. And second of all, when it comes to Roy Hodgson, I used to think he used to even get his tactic bang on. Or he'll complete. There'll be a complete mess. Depends on your position. If the opposition have good tactics and execute their game well, they'll have success against us. If not, then we'll probably win 1 or 2-0. We'll score our goal. We'll sit back because we usually do. We never put teams to the sword, and I think he's just preventing players from expressing themselves now because this is our best season in the Prem, or our best ever team in the Prem. I'd say Zaha, Eberechi. So it's our best ever team, and he's kind of just like he's not letting them express themselves. That's from where I sit.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a bit there, Zaha and Ebery. I mean, Jordan Ayew as well. I mean, I'm a big fan of him because he's a bit underrated in the way he plays a bit. But what do you think is stopping you from that next step?
Say that again.
What do you think is stopping you from reaching that next level? Do you think it's just your tactical side from the manager?
No. Partly, yeah. He doesn't play attacking enough football. So I know Roy's going at the end of the year, but to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he could get the sack in the next 2 or 3 games go the same way. Because if you look at our format back in the last season, it was really bad as well. We was looking at getting to Europa League. I remember saying to Tom, we'll get Europa League ahead of Tottenham, but nah. It'd be nice to be able to challenge for those spots.
Yeah, and then the other thing is Wilfried Zaha, obviously such a big player for you guys. You improved so much over the year. Over the summer, it just seemed like he not didn't want to be there, but he wouldn't be against the move away. I mean, how long do you think you can keep him for?
He's still
here. Yeah.
Because Vani's kind of depleted. He started quite strongly this season. 5 or 2 assists, don't count me on that, but it's about being worth about 30-40 million. Years ago, I was saying maybe 70 million. I don't think he'll end up going. I think he's...
Okay, so...
I didn't hear a lot of that, and all I heard was 70 million.
Yeah.
I think, as he said, Zaha's almost stuck to Palace at this point. Is what I got from that.
George, you got 4G?
Yeah, I'm using my 4G.
Oh.
Can you hear me now? Just about.
Yeah. I just didn't hear that last bit.
Fuck.
All right. So what I got from that was Zaha's basically stuck with you guys now. And
yeah.
I mean, how much money would it take for you to almost sell him? Do you think?
I think this is the bit you didn't hear then. So, like I was saying, maybe 3 years ago, we was looking at maybe 70 million for him. That's what we was asking for. But during was being spoke about maybe 30-40 million, which I don't think we'll accept. There's no way he's our worth. His worth to us is way more than what we would sell him for. 30, 40 million. It's not worth it. Like you said, we've only ever our last 17 games, without Zaha, we've only won 2 of them. So we've lost 15 without Zaha. 1-2. That's terrible. If he goes, I don't know what would happen, honestly.
Yeah, I think he's would be a great mentor for Eze as well as a new signing. But yeah, very important to you guys. Jordan, I know you got some interesting opinions on the next topic as well. So we'll go to Spurs Chelsea game over the weekend. Tom, go to Spurs first. You guys currently top the table, and because Leicester just lost as well, you will stay there.
Yep.
After City win, how do you look at the Spurs game? I mean, it must have been boring for you to watch, let's be honest.
Yeah, but a bit relieved because I'm not gonna lie, I was more nervous going into this Chelsea game than the City, because even though I thought we'd get slumped by City, we just don't have a great record against Chelsea. I did say to you I wanted 6 out of 9 points from Man City, Chelsea and Arsenal, and I thought it would be the Chelsea game would really struggle, especially going to Stamford Bridge. We just don't really have a great record there. Bit of a shit game, boring game, but I think out of both teams, Tottenham get the better result out of it. I mean, we're 2 points in front. We keep in control of the distance, so shall we say. To be fair, it wasn't a great game for both teams, really. Maybe that was because Chelsea can attack as well because our shape. I think they struggled a bit. They've done a bit more in the second half, but even then they didn't create too many. To be honest, their best chance was probably when Lloris had to make a really good save from a long-range distance shot from Mason Mount, and also when we made the mistakes for them. So it's not like they created it. Joe Rodon had a debut, and I don't really want him to play against Arsenal, to be honest, because I thought he made way too many mistakes, and that was when Chelsea got the opportunities. But other than that, I thought it was defensively a good performance, but we just couldn't get on the ball enough. Like when they dominated most possession, but when we even got the ball, because we did get the ball a bit, we just weren't good enough. The passing weren't great, especially from even Kane. The Lo Celso chance at the end was shocking, because we had a chance to nick it, and that would have been brilliant, because I don't think really any team deserved to win, but if you had to pick a team that deserved to win it, you would say Chelsea. But yeah, I think the point is more beneficial for us, and I still think it's a positive-ish result.
Yeah, Ty, do you agree with that? Like, the point was a better one for Tottenham since they're away as well.
Yeah, because they're top of the league and we're sitting in third at the moment. So, and obviously, I think Mourinho, he came for a draw. I don't think he came into that game to win it, especially in the second half when he had a chance to bring on Gareth Bale and he brought on Ben Davies, I think. And yeah, but I think overall it was a pretty dead game. Not gonna lie, like there was all this hype going into it, like Lampard versus Mourinho, and then obviously for it to end 0-0, it was obviously a bit boring. And obviously, what Tom said, we couldn't really get through their shape because obviously Mourinho in big away games, this is what he does. He passes the bus and then tries to score on the counter, and it's won him trophies in the past. But yeah, I said the main thing we had to do was just try and stop Harry Kane, because then obviously you basically stop Tottenham if you stop Kane, and we done that, but we just couldn't create anything really, apart from in the end what like Tom said when is it Rodon, that his name, when he made a mistake.
Yep.
But yeah, pretty dead game.
What do you think was missing for you in your attack? Because I mean, I only watched the second half, but yeah, like Tom said, just that Mount chance that I saw on Giroud at the end. So what was missing for you guys?
I don't know, like Ziyech had an off game. The only one that was really impressing me on the attack was Reece James, like, because obviously the way he kept getting forward, Tammy Abraham should have scored as well when Reece James put in a good cross, but Tammy's 6'5" and can't use his head, so it's a bit of a problem. I would have brought on Giroud earlier than we did, but yeah, I don't know what was missing, to be honest, because we had everyone out there, but we just couldn't create anything.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about Tammy Abraham. Do you think it's worth putting Werner out wide to accommodate for Abraham and then like benching Pulisic or Havertz?
Well, when we tried playing Havertz on the wing at the start of the season, like against Liverpool and Brighton, I believe, it wasn't working. So I think that's why Lampard went with Werner on the left. I mean, I would have just, like, if Pulisic's injured, just play someone like Hudson-Odoi because he's a natural winger and he could play Werner in his best position up front. And I actually would have started Hudson-Odoi yesterday because he done well in the Champions League against Rennes. So I thought he deserved to start, and he didn't even he didn't even make the bench. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. But yeah, I do think Werner needs to play through the middle from now on.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there's all Champions League guys are through now along with Sevilla, so that's good for you guys. Tom, I'm not sure if you guys are qualified just yet from Europa.
Not yet.
Yeah, I don't think we are either. But George, I know you've got some opinions on Chelsea, so let's hear them.
There's not really an opinion on Chelsea as a club. I just don't like their fan base. I think we can all agree their fan base is probably up there with the most annoying.
Why?
What is
I
it?
think it's the worst. No, it's the
That's
worst.
harsh. That's
It's
harsh.
got to be the
Why?
worst.
I mean,
Nah, it is the worst.
I
You've
mean,
got
really,
to hear
the
Jay's
worst.
opinion sometimes and you'll understand.
Jay, mate, I think Arsenal's worse. I mean, don't listen to Jay. Jay's an idiot, but I think Arsenal.
Man United can be up
Nah,
there.
I don't think Arsenal are worse.
You don't think Arsenal worse?
we're bad, don't get me wrong, but I've seen some stuff that Chelsea say on Twitter, and it is a bit bad. Don't get me wrong, Jay doesn't help you guys at all, but
No,
Yeah. Jay needs to delete Twitter.
I mean, you guys say this. So, what would you say is an example of, say, let's say, delusional stuff from Chelsea fans? Tom, George, anyone?
Yeah, there's a few things.
Werner's first best striker in the league, and he didn't even watch him play one game.
Who said that?
That's what Jay said. When we done the striker video, Jay said
Oh yeah.
Werner is the best striker in the league. And that was only because Harry Kane was injured.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a perfect example. But I mean, at the start of the league, we did talk about the title race and how Chelsea should be there because of how they've spent and how they've backed Lampard. And I guess you can say like we're over a quarter of the way through the season now, they are there. But at the same time, I do agree with what George and Tom are saying. There's some things where you need to give time. You know, you can't be too rash about it. Like, let's give players some time, because you have seen players start off really well and then dip out of nowhere. So, yeah, I think we just need to relax sometimes with the Chelsea talk. But so rest of the weekend's games, I don't want to put Arsenal too much because it still hurts. But I think one thing that we need to talk about is the Jimenez-David Luiz incident. What do you guys make of it? Should Luiz have been taken off earlier or not? Was it right for him to stay on as long as he did?
No, he should have been taken off. Literally, you could see he was bandaged up, yet you could see it was pissing out with blood. Even though he was bandaged up proper, like, he needed to come off straight away. I don't understand what the medical staff do to clear him fit to carry on, but I think, especially I think they should do a proper examination. Just take him down into the changing room, make it so they can have a free sub in a way, and then just go from there. To be honest, because I understand why he has to, like, the manager wants him to come back on, or he wants to come back on because he don't want to put his team at a disadvantage. So that is making him, because no one's going to say they want to come off unless it's that bad that they literally have no choice. But I think if you have some sort of way where you could have like a free substitution because of it, and they can actually get properly checked in the changing rooms, then I think that will stop it, because then it won't make players want to stay out there in a way that, because the reason why players are doing it is because they don't want to have their team have a disadvantage, which you can understand. But as the FA needs to do something about it, because the most important thing is the health and safety of the players.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it came out this morning. Jimenez has suffered from a fractured skull, and he's recovering now, but we're not sure how bad it really is just yet. So hopefully he does recover. But on the game, yeah, it was poor from us, to be honest. So nothing from any of our players. Poland scored a really nice goal. He took it really well to lob it over, I think, player in, and then put it past Leno. So fair play to them, fair play to Wolves as well, because I don't think it would have been easy without their star player in Jimenez as well, especially good enough that early. I think Fabio Silva came on and did quite well. He didn't get a goal, but he was linked up with that front three and caused a lot of problems for us. So fair play to them. Then I think another thing. Okay, go on.
What's your opinion on Aubameyang at the minute?
I didn't quite get that. What
Your
you said?
opinion on Aubameyang at that minute?
Honestly,
Your opinion on Aubameyang at the minute?
Yeah, so the last couple, apart before the Wolves game, I didn't really put any blame on him because there were no chances really created for him. No one's finding him. But what annoyed me a bit about yesterday's game was he did not look like he wanted to play there.
No.
I think there was one pass in the first half where Saka just missed, didn't put in to Aubameyang. And after that chance, he just didn't look like he wanted to move anywhere. He didn't look like he wanted to jump for headers because he did have a good chance. He didn't want to get in positions like he would. And then at the end, he started forcing himself out wide just to get the ball, which is never a good sign for a striker. So yesterday, I thought he played really bad, and I didn't like his attitude, especially as captain. But at the same time, we do have that massive creativity problem. I don't know what's happening behind since Ozil, because we won't have him the next 6 weeks because we can't rest him. But there's definitely a problem somewhere in the club.
I think we need to talk about Arteta.
I was going to ask you, are you still backing him?
Because of all this hype.
I did talk to Tyler about yesterday. He's inherited so many players in his team. You know what? Hang on, let me end the recording. Right, so my point with Arteta is the players still aren't his yet. So, I mean, the perfect example are Chelsea and United, in my opinion, because they're both in the same position manager-wise, both recently new. So, take Chelsea, for example. The board have backed Lampard a lot, and they've given new players, almost Lampard's players, the players he wanted. So, in that case, you can judge Lampard because he's got his players now, play the system he wants. So, whether that's good or bad, okay, you can say that's his tactics. Ole, he hasn't got the backing as Lampard's got, but he's got the Maguire deal and got Wan-Bissaka. But also, the players he's inherited are so much better than what we had. Martial's quality, Rashford's quality, Pogba's quality, etc. So, and he's also got Bruno as well, or to obviously target. So it's said to extent as well, Ollie's been back and he's got the players already. If you look at Arsenal, with the players he had, I think a manager can only take him to a certain level. He's done well, but he's not going to be world class for us. He can only take a player like that to a certain level. Defensively as well, Holding, Bayern, Tierney, I think is a bit better than them. And going forward as well, I don't think these are world-class players that you associate with the likes of Chelsea United have right now. But then you look at the players Arteta's brought in, Gabriel and Partey. Fair enough, Partey is injured now for the rest of the year, as in 2020. But the games he has played, he's looked really good, especially the United game we saw. And Gabriel has probably been one of our best players so far this season.
He has, I reckon.
Yeah, exactly. So, and those are Arteta's players, those are his signings. So until he gets his players properly in 2-3 windows more, then you can say, okay, if we're still losing games, there's a definite problem here with the management because now it's his team, and if he's not performing, then that's the problem. But right now, with this current squad of players, I can't put too much blame on. There is some blame to put on him because losing 3 home games in a row is not acceptable at any level, at any point in a season. So there is still some blame to put on him because at the end of the day, he does put out the team and the tactics. But I don't think it's enough to say let's sack him now, or say if we lose against Spurs, let's sack him purely because these players who aren't good enough aren't performing to the level that we need them to be consistently. Because it is a worry because we beat Liverpool last season, and then Community Shield beat City, beat Chelsea, and United as well. So it's worrying how we went from that to where we are now. But Arteta-wise, I'm not worried. It's just the players I'm worried about personally.
But Joe, the last 3 home games that he lost is what Aston Villa, Leicester, and now Wolves. In those 3 games, it's fair to say there was no urgency, no lack of a good attitude, no discipline, nothing from them really. In those 3 games, you at least expect. You can't win every game, yeah. But you at least expect your team to put 100%
to try,
and a good performance, yeah. That's the basics of football. In those 3 games, I don't think your players tried. There's no urgency. That can be down to the players, but surely the manager's got to be like. It's not like the manager said, "Oh, go out there and be sloppy, do this." So, does he take blame for that, or is that the players?
I think the Leicester game, I did on our chair because we created a load of chances and that was down to poor finishing from our forwards. So I think that game was just poor, as in we weren't clinical enough and they took their one chance with Vardy. But then the Villa game, by far the worst of our season, because we just outclassed them. Wolves is they were good, but they weren't amazing. You know what I mean? Like if we played well, we could have beaten them and we got more from it. So yeah, I think it was Roy Keane who said it after the United game. It's not a manager's job to motivate players, but personally, I disagree with that. And I think I said it last week as well. We somehow seem to be more motivated against the big teams rather than the so-called weaker ones. But throughout the season, there's more points available against the weaker ones rather than compared to the Big Six. The Big Six might be the 6-pointers, but there's more games against the team that aren't in there. So that is definitely a motivational problem. So
when you talk about sorry, go on, finish.
No.
Okay. When you talk about like how he can't do much of this like set of players. So if you do look at your attack, like Pepe, 72 million, Aubameyang 60 million, Lacazette was what 40, 50 million. Like, do you not think that he should be getting more out of them than he actually is? Because
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Aubameyang, even without creativity, you expect more than 2 league goals this season for what? Considering he's been like at the top of the leaderboard for the last 2-3 seasons. So it's not good enough from him. But yeah, I think some of it is down to the tactical side because last year we played that fire at the back system because our defense was so poor. But then at the same time, Pepe did a lot better now under Arteta and so did Aubameyang. But then again, before lockdown happened, Ozil was playing, so you got that creativity to be there. But it is worrying a bit from Arteta's point of view as well. I think the only time our forward to backs worked this season was with Partey in the United game as well. So whether or not that system only works with someone of his quality or not, I think it's needs to be addressed. But yeah, I think you're right. He should be getting more out of Pepe because Pepe can't just keep performing in the Europa League and not in the Premier League because that's not what we signed him for. Like, it's okay doing it. Like, he's done really well in the Europa League, but that's not what we signed him for. Like I said, it's not enough from him. We need that consistency in the Prem, not Europa. And Lacazette, I tried to defend him, but it's just not good enough from him. Like, at first he was clinical, but now he's lost that ability as well. So he played at number 10 on Thursday as well against Mulder. So I don't know if that's maybe a new role for him or not. But yeah, I agree with you saying he should be getting more out the attackers for the money we spend on them as well. So for me, it's like right now it's, let's say 75% on the players, 25% on Arteta, because he can't be completely ignored here for the results. I mean, 14th in the table isn't acceptable. I think it's our worst ever start in Prem history, or since in the 70s. So it's definitely a problem for us. But I am more worried about players now, and I'm very worried about the Spurs game as well. I mean, Tom, what do you think going into it?
London derby. See, the problem is, right, you say this has been your worst season, which it probably has, but for a majority of the years, like recent years, five years, we've always been known to be better than you or doing much more better than you. However, when it comes to the North London derby, I feel like the form just goes out the window. However, I am more confident this year because of, well, obviously our form, first of all. I haven't seen us play as well as this in ages. Probably the best I've ever seen us play, to be honest, even when Pochettino was here. And I haven't seen you be this bad. And it's the fact that the players, see, when you were doing bad previously, I'd still be wary of Arsenal. But the thing is, you're not scoring goals at all, and you're sitting back. But then, even then, the teams are still causing you problems. You're not being as defensive, like well as a defensive unit when you were in lockdown. See, in lockdown, I thought you were a problem. I was actually worried. Sometimes in the Premier League, you weren't doing great, but when it came to them big games, which is what this is, it's a top 6 game. You were causing the big six a problem because they weren't able to break you down. However, recently this year, when you have sat back, teams are causing you to like break down more. They're getting in. However, the scoring thing is still a problem for you. I think I saw a stat. There was a stat like last week. I saw Tottenham fans tweeting saying that Son has scored more goals than Arsenal this season. I don't know how many you have scored. It's like 10, I think. But that's like really bad, especially when you've got someone like Aubameyang. So I am confident going into it. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal just change their ways against us. And I expect to see you go 5 at the back against us. I reckon you're going to go back to the 5 at the back against us, because that was where I'm pretty certain, I'm not too sure, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you were playing well in lockdown, like against them big teams, I'm pretty sure you were using a 5 at the back system.
Yeah.
I think he will go back there because of the fact, like you've already said, the defenders are not good enough. I mean, I remember like our defense has only just gotten better because we've improved Dyer this year. We got a fullback, and our main thing is we got Højbjerg in. We got some protection. But previously to this, when we were in lockdown, when we didn't have them signings, we had to go defensive as well. So I understand what you are going through, but I just feel like North London derby, the form goes out the window, and I expect to see you go 5 at the back. So I think that makes it game on in a way. If you go 4 at the back, I reckon we'll win, because I'm not saying you won't score against us, but you haven't been scoring against other teams, and we've probably been. Actually, I'm going to say it. Well, I think we've been the best defensive team this year. I mean, we conceded less goals, and I just think if you look at, for example, Chelsea, City, they both struggled to break us down. If you're not already scoring, and you go 4 at the back where you've been conceding, I think you just play into our hands. So I think if you go 5 at the back, then it's game on. But 4 at the back, I think we win.
Yeah, I think if you guys trying to sit back, and that's going to cause us massive problems because we can't cross to save our life. Like, I know we got a goal yesterday from a cross, but the amount of crosses just hit the first man yesterday from whoever it was, or just completely over, was ridiculous. And it's just not great enough from us. But yeah, if our players are motivated for Sunday's game, then there's definitely a real problem. So the other game of the weekend was Liverpool as well, against Brighton. Another weird offside call for them. Salah just straying a bit offside. Morpay missed the penalty early on, then got injured and went off. Then the big call was late on in game. What do you guys make of that? I don't know if you saw or not, but Robertson's basically gone to kick the ball, but Welbeck's just got there first and he's touched Welbeck instead. Was it a pen for you guys, or is it a bit too soft?
Penalty.
It's a pen. He's kicked his foot. It's a pen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I didn't watch that game. Well, I did, but I didn't watch it until the 90th minute. And I actually saw this penalty yesterday. I don't know if it was just me, but Welbeck went down really, really late.
Yeah.
But it's a penalty. For me, it's a penalty.
Yeah, well, Liverpool dropped points again because of that. Not good for them at the moment, but their Champions League group's looking very good as well because they just lost to Atlanta 2-0. So those two and Ajax all in with their chance of qualifying. So that's one to keep an eye on this midweek. Other thing was obviously, I want to say last Wednesday, unfortunately, Diego Maradona passed away from cardiac arrest. One of the best of all time. I mean, you guys watch his highlights, I'm sure you have. It is unbelievable, and you think like if he wasn't there, would Messi be here? Like, because their styles are so similar, and like the amount of influence we'd have had on Messi is unbelievable. I think the same as well. I saw loads of good tributes from Messi himself. Got the new old boys top out when he scored. Napoli bought their special like fourth kit. They won 4-0. Boca Juniors after they scored, they went over to Maradona's box at the stadium and they clapped as his draw was there. So some really good tributes there. And we saw like Carolina could talk really well about his story as well. So they're good to hear, but obviously, yeah, it was a sad day for football. Elsewhere, so AC Milan are top of Serie A at the moment. Inter are second after beat Sassuolo, and Juve are fourth. So they dropped more points. Sassuolo are actually third, and they're doing quite well, to be fair to them. PSG dropped more points, not a surprise. Drew 2-2 to Bordeaux. So they're still shit. Madrid drew as well, 1-1. So Sociedad right now are top of La Liga. Atletico Madrid, I think, are 1 or 2 points behind, but they have 2 games in hand. I think Barca have a game in hand as well, which could propel them off the table. Bundesliga as well, I think Leverkusen got a draw against Hertha Berlin. Dortmund lost. Yeah, Dortmund definitely lost this weekend 2-1, I believe. So still a bit inconsistent from them to trying to buy in, but not good for them. And then other big news was the fans are back at some stadiums are allowed fans now. It's mainly the ones from like London and in below, apart from Liverpool and Everton, who are also allowed. There will be fans for the North London derby as well, if I'm correct.
2,000.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's all home fans. So
yeah, it will be.
So what do you guys think of that? Is it a bit unfair that some teams allowed home fans and the other teams allowed none at all? Like, is it a bit unfair on those teams?
In a way, yeah, but it's not like it's a full 60,000 stadium of just home fans, you know?
I think it's pointless anyway.
It's 2,000, so it's more than we have now, but obviously that first couple of games, teams are going to want, or the teams that have the fans are going to want to put on a really good performance, so that might give them advantage, but with 2,000 fans, I don't think it would be that much of an advantage.
Yeah, I think financially it could have an impact on some home teams because obviously they will be getting those receipts now. If they wanted to, probably put the price up as well. But I think the only other effect it might have is if it's like only 2,000, like you said, they normally use a lot more. Maybe fans will be a bit louder in the players here, like they might be hearing a bit better. So it's definitely interesting because I think a lot of players did say without the fans, there's almost a lot less pressure on them in the stadium as well. Maybe they miss a chance or something. So I think it definitely had an impact, but yeah, I think like you say, it's a bit unnecessary because there's no point until I think all the teams can have them back. Otherwise, it is a bit unfair on the away team. Especially if they can't have home fans for their games as well. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys are going to any games, but it's definitely going to be an interesting one. But yeah, I think that was all from this week. So the next week, like I say, we've got North London derby coming up. We'll talk about that. Champions League and Europa League should basically be all confirmed, probably maybe 1 or 2 groups.
I think it's time to talk. I think it's time we sit down and just say what's going on. I think we should say everything that's right in